Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we're taking a look at the new Dino Escape Roar Attack Bumpy the Ankylosaurus. Finally, we have an adult version of Bumpy. The baby version that was released in the attack pack was released like 4 or 5 waves in a row, which is pretty much unheard of for any dinosaur in the line, and it proved to be quite the popular character. You never saw any Bumpy figures sitting on the shelves for too long, and I'm happy to finally have the adult version. I think in the show, from hatching to adult, it only took like Bumpy like 3.5 minutes to reach adult size. This figure is popping up at Target and Walmart. I actually found this one at Walmart. It was actually the only figure on the shelf. And I have not seen too many of these in the wild. I've been hunting like every day because I collect a lot of Transformers. So I'm always hitting the stores, and I really have not seen too many of these. Seems like they're selling quick, just like the baby version. So this Bumpy is part of the new Roar Attack wave. It's just a rebranding of the Sound Strikes. And we all know with my first review, which was the Ceratosaurus, I am not a big fan of that sliding button on the back. It's really turning me off, and to be honest, I was happy picking up the Ceratosaurus. I had really no interest in picking the other ones up in the wave, Limbo and Bumpy, but then I thought to myself, I have to pick up an adult Bumpy. I really need it for my Camp Cretaceous display. Definitely not picking up Limbo. I already got the one that came with Darius and that Stegosaurus pack that came out over a year ago. So let's go over the packaging really quick before we crack Bumpy open. Comes in the new Roar Attack style packaging, which is very similar to the old Roarivores. You got the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous logo up here, Toro the Carnotaurus, Darius, Dino Escape logo. You got a picture of how that slider action works. It just kind of cocks the tail back and then swings. It actually works really well. I've been messing around with it in the packaging. It works better than the Roarivore Ankylosaurus, but still just really, really hideous looking. And turn the box around, you get a nice picture of Bumpy all grown up. Down here in the bottom of the other two figures available in the wave, Limbo the Baryonyx and the previously reviewed Ceratosaurus. So enough about the packaging. Let's crack Bumpy open and take a closer look. Alright, let's start with a nice 360-degree view of Bumpy. I have to say, this figure turned out really well. It looks just like Bumpy from Camp Cretaceous. They really got the color scheme down. Bumpy is more of a lighter blue with yellow mixed in compared to the darker colors of the other Ankylosaurs in the show. Now, the figure has a few new parts on it, but mostly reuses parts from the old Roarivore Ankylosaurus. The back, the spikes along the side, and the head are all new parts. The rest is just reused from the old Ankylosaurus, which I was a little bit disappointed to see. You know, Mattel has updated a few of the figures in Dino Escape, like the Stegosaurus and Ceratosaurus. Those figures are completely new molds. It was nice to get an update of those older figures, and I kind of wish this one was fully updated, but you know, the parts on the Ankylosaurus really weren't bad, so it's really not that big of a deal that they reused them. The action feature on here does work really well. You know, the negative is that that button is just absolutely hideous and distracting, but I have to say the action feature does work better on this figure than it did on the Roarivore Ankylosaurus. Alright, let's just do a couple quick measurements on Bumpy. This figure is 10 inches long from the tip of the club to the tip of the snout, and just about 3 inches tall. So Ankylosaurs in the Jurassic World franchise were around 26 feet long. So I put Bumpy roughly in that 131 scale range. And just remember, it only took Bumpy from hatchling to adult, I think, between 3 weeks to like maybe a couple months in the show, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the few things I did not like about Camp Cretaceous, is just how fast the dinosaurs grew for plot. Alright, let's zoom and take a closer look at some of the finer details on Bumpy, starting with the head. The head came out great on this figure. It's cast in that yellow plastic with all that light blue highlights for all the scales. A lot of nice scale details on the head. The beak is painted in gray, the eyes done in brown with a black pupil. And looking at the top of the head, you can see she has that asymmetrical look, which Dr. Wu was not fond of, and I love how they gave her that short little horn. It gives this figure a lot of character. You can see all those nice scales sculpted in on the head. And then going down to the back, like I said, the back plate on this figure, let's get this camera to focus, is completely new, but these pieces of spike that are sticking through are the same exact mold that you find on the Roarivores, but they are made out of a hard plastic instead of a rubber material on the older figures. And then right here we have that absolutely hideous looking button. I can't stand the button on these new Roar Attacks. I know these figures are meant for kids, but a lot of adults collect these Jurassic figures. You know, A lot of us grew up with the movie in 1993, and a lot of adults collect this line, so I just can't stand it. So yeah, every time I review one of these, I will be complaining about this stupid button. And then going down to the spikes along the side, these are made out of a soft, flexible rubber material. These are actually a new sculpt. They have much finer detail sculpted in. If you look at the old Roarivore, which I'll take out during comparisons, on the old Roarivore, they're much flatter and plain looking, so it's nice that they added some more sculpted in detail on these spikes. And going down to the front legs, all the four legs on these figures are exactly the same that you'll find on the old Roarivore Ankylosaurus. You have some highlights of blue on that yellow plastic along the side of the belly and the hind legs. Toe claws aren't painted in, which is pretty typical of Mattel. Same thing on the hind feet. Toe claws are not painted, but a lot of nice sculpted scale detail all over the hind legs and underside of this figure. And turn it over, you got these same holes for the sound effect on the Ankylosaurus, same exact cover you'll find on the older figure. And since we have the figure turned over, here is the scan code for those of you who want to scan this into the fax app. And then zooming back out, going down to the tail. Tail is the exact same tail you'll find on the other Ankylosaurus. The club is painted a nice light gray color. You can see some of that yellow plastic mixed in with that light blue paint. So yeah, all in all, a really, really nice looking Bumpy figure. I think they did a good job with the color scheme on here. It's just definitely nice to have the adult version finally in the collection after we've gotten like 50 of the baby in the attack pack version. Moving on to articulation, the head is on a ball joint. It can move down a little bit. Can't really move up that much, but you can get nice 360 degree of movement, and it can turn a little bit from side to side. Going down the front legs, they can move forwards, they can move backwards, and they can pivot out just a little bit. Going down the hind legs, backwards and forwards about that far before the knee starts to hit the sides of the belly. There's no pivot on the hind legs, and that is it for articulation, because the rest of it is tied to the action feature. Now to activate the action feature, you just have to use this slider button on the top right here, and as you move it, each click, there's 3 clicks on here, you'll get a different sound. So let me just pull it from this way so you can see the way the tail moves. It starts to slowly cock the tail back as you click it, and you get some Cretaceous accurate Bumpy sounds. And finally, you get the number 3, the tail will release and swing. So yeah, I definitely like the way the tail mechanism works. You get a little bit more forceful of a whack. So yeah, definitely neat. So let's get a victim out here, and let's have Nedry get clubbed by Bumpy. That's what you get for destroying Jurassic Park. There we go. So yeah, works good, works better than the Roarivore one, but still, button is hideous. Alright, moving on with comparisons. Here it is with Kenji. Ben should be released in one of the story packs that comes with the baby Bumpy. I think that should be out probably sometime around September or October. It's going to look great with this adult Bumpy with Ben riding on the top. Can't wait for him. And next up are the other Ankylosaurs, the Roarivores. This is the one from Dino Rivals, and this is the one from Fallen Kingdom. Let's pull the camera out so we can see them all. And you can see they share pretty much the exact same sculpt. Let's pull in these two right here. You can see, let's get the camera to zoom in on that. You can see that these spikes are resculpted on both Bumpy. They have much finer detail, very plain looking on the Roarivore version, and like I said, the back is completely different on these two figures because of the different action feature. And let's just show off the action feature on the old one. I got a little dust on here because I took this out of the box in the basement. Works much better on the Bumpy, the action feature, like I said, but the trade-off is just that horrible space. It just looks much better with this sculpted in button, which they will go back to that relatively soon. And next up here is the mini Bumpy that came with the Darius pack that came out of Target. It came with one of the Baryonyx and Stegosaurus. Now, I can't find my attack pack Bumpy. This is why this review is a little bit late. I searched high and low. It's the only Jurassic World figure I can't find. I must have took it out for photography some time ago, and just threw it in a random box. I cannot find him. It's probably in a box with Transformers. But with this little mini Bumpy, the little hatch of Bumpy that comes in the Darius story pack, the attack pack Bumpy, the adult Bumpy, you get a nice, growth stages of Bumpy. So it'll be a nice looking display on your shelf if you get all those. And next up, here's the recently reviewed Mashiacosaurus. And next up, here it is with the Soundstrike Grim the Baryonyx. Rest in peace, Grim. You're going too soon. And here it is with the Danger Pack Scorpius Rex. I don't like using the electronic one. I just feel like it's way too big when you do a comparison with these figures. That figure's almost the size, actually the same size as a Legacy Rex figure. And lastly, here he is with Ben's arch enemy, Toro the Carnotaurus. So final thoughts on the Roarivore Bumpy. It's a good looking figure. It is definitely a must add if you're a fan of Camp Cretaceous. It is nice that they finally gave us an adult version of Bumpy. You know, my biggest gripe about it is just that hideous looking action feature on the back. I do not like that slider button. But everything else about the figure is great. Nice paint apps on it. Great sculpting detail. Love the asymmetrical head. And it's just a nice looking figure if you just don't look at the back of it. And Mattel loves Bumpy. She's pretty much the official mascot of Camp Cretaceous. So I would not be surprised to see more versions of adult Bumpy pop up in Dino Escape as the line continues. Maybe we'll get one that's slightly retooled with a different action feature. Who knows? But I'm sure this is not the last time we're going to see adult Bumpy. Like I said at the beginning of the review, I ended up finding this figure at Walmart. I've actually seen a few of them lately. I went looking for Transformers yesterday, and there was a couple on the shelves. One of my Walmarts actually got a decent supply of Camp Cretaceous figures in. I think I might have made a joke at the beginning of this review of like, we'll see if they stock shelves, or it might have been another video. I don't remember because I record these things sometimes with a span of a couple days, so I forget what I said sometimes at the beginning of videos. So anyways, definitely hit Target and Walmart if you're looking for this figure. And if you don't feel like heading out to the stores, I'll leave a link down below to the Target listing on their site. So that would do it for the review. Still have a few more new things I need to get to. The PNSO Nano Tyrannus, the Wild Pack Herrerasaurus, and a kind member on one of the Jurassic World Facebook groups found me the Wild Pack Zuniceratops, and I finally received it the other day. Huge thank you, Matt. You saved me a ton of money on gas. I've been looking for that thing forever now. So be on the lookout for those reviews in the near future. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.